Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
In terms of linking Ukraine and Israel aid, where do you come down on that question?
I think it would be more prudent, given the level of bipartisan support for Israel right now, for us just to take action on Israel right now, which would include both a resolution as well as the resources necessary to ensure that the portion of Iron Dome ammo that we provide is fully stocked, that the War Reserve stockpile for Allies program for Israel remains fully stocked. I think there's a lot we can do really in the next week or 48 hours to send a signal that we support in bipartisan fashion Israel without getting mired in the domestic politics or the geopolitics of other issues. Those other issues need to be dealt with. I think it's sensible to forge some sort of compromise on Ukraine and border resources. As for Taiwan, which of course is my primary preoccupation as chair of the Select Committee on China, and I do think remains the most important issue, a collapse of deterrence in the Indo-Pacific would make the wars in Eastern Europe and the emerging war in the Middle East look like child's play in comparison, so that has to be our main focus. That's something that should be dealt with in the defense appropriation that we've passed. I think there's more we can do to rebuild our entire arsenal of deterrence. Right now, there are critical munitions that we've just neglected for decades because they're not sexy. We still haven't turbocharged or maximized the production lines for things like long-range anti-ship missile, JASM, JADM, SM-6. Like there's 10 things that, you know, the list I would agree upon with LaPlante at the Pentagon that we just need to move to multi-year appropriations to facilitate maximum production. And I think, sorry to go on, that's the lesson of all of this, right? The thread stretching from Afghanistan to Ukraine, now Gaza, is that the West needs to rearm. If we are interested in peace and stability, particularly in the Indo-Pacific, the only way to do that is through a renewed commitment to American hard power, and we're not doing that. We're not attacking with
You said 48 hours for Israel.
Yeah.
Is there that much urgency that you're hearing from these briefers? Because earlier this week it seemed like NSC spokesman was saying there's not a rush.
I'm not going to comment on anything the briefers said. I sense a sense of urgency among my colleagues, and I do think there's a bipartisan core of it. It seems as though McCall and Meeks have worked very well together on the resolution, and certainly everything we've done on the Armed Services Committee related to Israel has been profoundly bipartisan. So I guess my only point, and I would not have legislative jurisdiction over this on my committee or even my subcommittee, but is that we should seize upon, at a moment where Congress is divided on almost everything, we should seize upon that that bipartisan support and take action. I think it would send a positive signal.
Can you act if there isn't a speaker?
There's an open question as to that. It seems as though McHenry, and I have not talked to him specifically, has cast some doubt on his ability as Speaker pro tem to bring action to the floor. Some of my colleagues have urged him to do that on Israel, even if there isn't a speaker. The preferred course of action, obviously, is for us to meet now, select a speaker, and then go to the floor later today. And I guess we'll see what happens after that. As I read it, like he could, but the intent of the Speaker pro tem position is not to move legislation on the floor. It is to facilitate the expeditious choosing of a new speaker. That's how I read it.
Sorry, the question of aid. Sorry.
Supported by.
She talked to Turner. He's more important than I am. Yeah. You want to sub in? You sure? You got it. Last chance. Go.
On Hamas being supported by Iran, is Iran complicit in this, and have they made any connection, or are you pushing back on Iran?
In my view, Iran is, of course, complicit. Iran has been the primary patron of Hamas for decades. Hamas benefits from Iran's weapons, from Iran's money, and Iran's training. And I think Iran has an interest in scuttling the emerging rapprochement between Israel and the Sunni Arab Gulf states, Saudi Arabia in particular, which of course would be a problematic development for them. So the goal of Iran is to advance their nuclear program as well as sever our traditional alliance bloc in the region, or any attempt to build off the foundation of the Abraham Accords. And I do think, more than anything else, this should be a wake-up call for our Iran policy. I do think the Biden administration's attempted détente with Iran should be dead. I'm not convinced it is, because they keep trying to resuscitate the lifeless corpse of the Iran nuclear deal, and I think that's creating chaos in the region. And we saw that play out. I think the tragedy of American foreign policy right now is we actually sort of experimented with this in the Obama administration. It didn't work out. The new equilibrium that Obama sought, as to use a phrase that he used, created disequilibrium. We obviously saw the rise of a terrorist state in the heart of the Middle East as we attempted to exit from it and empower Iran, and it drew us back into the region, and thus we had a failed pivot to the Pacific, and we're dangerously close to repeating that exact same mistake right now.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.